In part 2 of this one-part series, we looked at the first half of Prager University's racist video, lying to children about the radicals throughout our country's history who stepped outside the system to correct an injustice. They did this by having a couple of white kids time travel back to 1852 and talk to former slave Frederick Douglas. If you haven't seen the first video, the link is in the description below.
Children, our founding fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation. They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the Founding Fathers made a compromise to achieve something great.
For white people, they achieved something great for white people. White men, actually, who owned property. So, actually, wealthy white men. And that compromise was the legal owning of black people in every state. So, I guess, freedom! Yay!
Our founders created a system they thought would have slavery end gradually.
Because even they didn't want to give up their slaves right there and then.
Well, we're here in 1852, and America's been around for about 75 years. You're still trying to get slavery abolished. It doesn't sound like the system the Founding Fathers set up is working.
Right? And I'll bet working through the system wasn't going to fix things. You're right, Bri. In 1857, the United States Supreme Court declared black people, quote, so far inferior that they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect, and that the Negro might justly and lawfully be reduced to slavery for his benefit, end quote. So that's one for the system.
There was no real movement anywhere in the world to abolish slavery before the American founding.
Is this Trump University or Prager University? If you're a lying sack of shit, do you just put the word university after your name now? Is that the rule? Movements to ban various forms of slavery go back to the 6th century BCE. Hey, isn't there something in Dennis's holy book about his people being enslaved 3,300 years ago? Isn't there a holy day celebrating their emancipation? I gotta look that up.
You're trying to work for change inside of the American system.
Precisely, Layla. Our system is wonderful.
Which is why I beat the living Jesus out of my slaver and then broke the law to secure my own freedom.
Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
No.
Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me, and he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, Jesus.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah, we've got that type in our time.
Here's Frederick Douglass's thoughts on the radical abolitionist John Brown, who used brutal violence attempting to force America to end the evil of slavery. Quote, his zeal in the cause of freedom was infinitely superior to mine. Mine was a taper light. His was the burning sun. Mine was bounded by time. His stretched away to the silent shores of eternity. I could speak for the slave. John Brown could fight for the slave. I could live for the slave. John Brown could die for the slave. End quote. That is some seriously uncritical race theory they're teaching there at Prager U. Like they've taught in American schools for, well, almost forever.
So, Mr. Douglas, do you think we should be activists, just not radical ones?
Layla, your America where people are free and everyone is equal under the law sounds pretty great. But no place is perfect. So it's good to listen to activists who want to improve things. But they have to be willing to work inside our system. And they have to understand that change usually requires patience and compromise. Then you might want to join their cause. But if they are radicals like Garrison, you and your brother will be best served to stay away.
You want to talk about radicals who fought to bring down the system? Let's talk about Paine, Jefferson, Washington, Adams, and all the founding fathers we honor who took to bloody revolution to free themselves from that truly oppressive, taxation without representation. Oh, the horror! So much worse than the racist oppression of black people for the last 400 years, right? Or how about the white guy Prager University honored with a video so horrific they took it down themselves? A video honoring the murderous, traitorous Confederate Robert E. Lee, who violated his oath to bring down the system, the United States government, and maintain the system of oppression Douglas violently opposed and broke the law to end in his own case. How about Dennis Prager's own people, the Hebrews? Did they work within the system to secure their freedom from the Egyptians, to end their oppression? No. The tribal war god of Abraham ended their enslavement by taking to his favorite hobby, baby killing. Actually, killing every firstborn male in Egypt not protected with blood. Of course, I'm not advocating for violence, hitch forbid. But I do find it interesting that these people honor the white people who resorted to violence when securing their own freedoms, even when it's the freedom to enslave other people based on race. But when an oppressed minority rises up after hundreds of years of oppression, well, they're just radicals who need to be patient and work through the system which has failed them over and over again, the system our own white heroes didn't work through. That's some peak racism, my friends. It's sick, it's gross, it's evil. And that doesn't even include all the lying. For PragerFU, I'm me. Thanks for watching.